What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Everton Extra. We're coming off a little bit of a disappointing result at the weekend in my eyes, but sometimes I'm not very pragmatic. I would always prefer to see a win. But let's hear from Rhiad. Rhiad, what are your thoughts over the weekend? How are we doing?
I'm all right, lad. Look, I said, well, the other admin said he would have rather, he sees it as 2 points dropped. I see it as a point gained. Because if you would have said to me before the game, would you take a point against Brighton? Obviously.
No way. Really? At
Obviously.
home? No, lads.
Come on, lads. Come on. We've won 2 games in a row. Let's just get our feet back on the ground, please, mate.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Do you know what I have this argument with my dad sometimes? I get what you're saying, but no, I don't. I wouldn't have took a draw at home to Brighton before the game. I'd never. But then I'd never take a draw really unless it's against one of the top teams. No, I'm sorry. I've got to disagree with you there. I think it's 2 points dropped. We were 1-0 up for a lot of the game. Disappointing for the goal to be the way it was with Ashley Young. Where I would agree with you is you could say because their goal, and in my opinion, I've looked at the offside a million times. I still think he's onside. I thought at the time he was onside to Tarkowski. So you could look at it that way and say it's a point gained because we probably should have lost 2-1. But I wouldn't have took a point before the game. Definitely not. Not in the run of form we're in. However, one thing I will say is I think Brighton play like a top 4 team. I really do. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think we play brilliant football.
But Brighton do that. They always, in the past few seasons under the Zerbi and Potter have, but
yeah,
it's not so much world-class plays, like quick 1-2s in the box and that, because they do that, but not like world-class team goals and stuff. It's just like the simplest thing ever, just passing the ball around and keeping hold of the ball.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matty, let's get the elephant out of the room.
Let's have it.
Ashley Young.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. I
It
mean,
is, mate.
I think he's breaking all the wrong records,
Yes.
But then I guess that comes with being 38. I've got to be honest. Let's just address it straight away. As much as I wouldn't say, I've seen loads of Everton fans chatting about loving him. Jesus Christ, he's only been here 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And he's not going to be here much longer. Let's just be pragmatic about that. He's not going to be here for 5 years. He's 38 years old, mate. So I wouldn't say I love him and all this, and I'm going to back him. I don't think any of his performances have really lit Everton up. I don't think he's been especially great in many of them. I think he's been consistent, but a consistent sort of 5-6 out of 10. Not unless, to be fair to him, the weekend wasn't great. Unfortunate, the own goal. It was really unfortunate the way it happened. However, if I was Sean Dyche, I'd have took him off at half-time. It was blatantly obvious he was out of his depth. Jesus, mate. Kyle Walker has a hard time against Matoma, let alone Ashley Young. Like, what was he going to do against Matoma? Matoma was one of the best left wingers in Europe right now. I think he had them on toast all game. He had them spread up the wall all game. And Young was struggling. I would have brought Patterson on a lot earlier. I think it was an Everton.
I would have started Patterson.
Yeah, so would I.
Anyway, enough of the Brighton game. Matty, me and you spoke in the transfer window a lot about signing prospects for the academy and stuff, and we did in Shimity, who didn't go directly into the academy, but he is 19. We had a few links over the summer to under 21s, under 18s players, and it looks like Everton are going. Usually we go for the players that have already made the first step in the development to move into a different club, and what the fans wanted was get them before they make that first step. So for example, Bellingham to Dortmund, getting him at Birmingham, whatever. So this looks exactly like it. I mean, for a 17-year-old in Germany, Winsley Batelli plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah.
Top scorer in Bundesliga under 19s. And people will say it's the Bundesliga under 19s. Yeah, it is. You can only score what's in front of you.
Exactly.
And he's doing the best job out of anyone in that league. So we're going for the best in the league, which is good to see. He's from Switzerland, direct centre forward, pacey. It looks good. He's had 12 goals in 10 appearances. So,
12
what do you
10,
reckon on that, Matty? Yeah.
Do you know what? I agree with you. We need to take ourselves out of, being this club who only goes after the ones who are already spoken about. Firstly, it's a stupid recruitment process anyway, because everybody knows in England, if you're already getting spoken about in England, whether you're coming from England or from abroad, there's a tax that gets slapped on you then. If you're already getting spoken about to go to England, there's already an extra 10 million in it, or 20 million if you're a really good player.
Hype tax.
Yeah, exactly. The hype train. And for years, Everton have been, we tried it with Vlasic, didn't work. Tried it with that Henry, what was his name? Henry Onyekuru. Yeah, who, to be fair, was a really good player, could never get the work permit, didn't play enough international games. I think it's good because, look at Brighton, they do it so well. They sell the best player for 70 million and go, don't worry about that, mate. We've got a ready-made replacement here for 500k, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's good. Also, you've got to remember that everybody starts somewhere, right? So the Ronaldos of the world, the Bellinghams of the world, the Van Dijks, all these big players, all of these best players in the positions, everyone who's big right now, they all started somewhere. Andy Robertson, one of the best fullbacks in the league, hate to say it, came from Hull. Before that was in Scotland. So all these great, Seamus Coleman, fantastic veteran for Everton. We signed him for 60 grand, from Shamrock Rovers in Ireland. So when people say about, it's the Bundesliga, Farmers League, well, look at who we've signed over the years. Players like Coleman, Kale, they were meant to be in shit leagues, but turned into very good players. So I think 12 10 at any level, really, at an under-19 youth level, is a very consistent return. Proves that he can score goals when the goal's in front of him. So I think there's two parts to it here. It's great that we're looking at young talent, first of all, because I'm sick to death of Everton just being the club that every veteran who's already been there, done it and wore the T-shirt, decides to end the career. Jesus Christ, it happened with Samuel Eto'o. It's now happening with Ashley Young. There's loads more over the years as well. Phil Neville, as much as he was a great captain and that, wasn't a great player. So let's stop being this club that everyone comes to finish off or go the extra mile. Let's be the ones who are signing the 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Yusuf Chimity's coming to the squad. I think he looks decent when he comes on. I think he makes good runs. He needs time. I'm not going to sit in and say that lad's going to be the next, bloody Mario Gomez or whatever, but he looks decent. And it's good that we're going after different players who aren't going to break the bank, Rhiad. You can sign a few of these players, they won't break the bank. And eventually we want to be moving towards breeding really, really good young players. So I have to say I'm happy with it. I'm also happy with the fact that it does not look like Everton are slowing down in signing attackers. It looks like we're happy to go and sign another striker or two, another winger or two, and I'm happy with that because you can't be too top heavy. What if Calvert-Lewin gets injured? Could I tell you something, lad? We all love Beto for what he did the other day against Burnley, right? But if Calvert-Lewin gets injured, are you confident there's goals coming from Beto? Because I'm not. He hasn't looked at it at all. 30 million quid, he hasn't looked at it. And I think could just be confidence. When you can tell, Rhiad, when you look at a player and you look at him, and you look at Onana now, oozes confidence. You don't think he's going to lose the ball or give it away or make a bad pass. You look at Beto, he's got no confidence. He doesn't look like he's going to take the ball, drive 20 yards and score like he was for fun in Udinese.
Well, that's all it is, Matty. It's just confidence.
It's confidence,
I think I've said it loads on the channel, but I spoke to a variety of Prem players and asked them all the same question. How big a part does confidence play? And they all said the exact same thing. It's the biggest thing for a footballer.
Everything. Yeah, it's everything.
It can change an entire player. We've seen it so many times. Anyway, Matty, back to the academy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Signing young players from different clubs is not unheard of at Everton.
No.
But it is unheard of signing them from abroad. Relatively unheard of. We signed Francis Araconquo from Sunderland, who looked like one of the best talents in England at the time. Obviously Jared Brandtwaite, but he just straight on loan, slotted into the first team, as we know. But nevertheless, even players from Ireland, Jack Patterson, also, but stuff like that, we don't really go for players from abroad
we don't go abroad
for the academy.
And we've been crying out for this for ages, haven't we?
And I don't know the ins and outs of it, but there might have been a rule or something that's been lifted. I don't know. Brexit, I don't know. You might know. But another one. These all come from Fabrizio Romano as well, which is always good news. Anton Makovic. Now, there's not much details about him readily available to the public, but he is 17. He's a striker / right winger. He's Croatian. I'm going to try and pronounce the team name. NK Osijek under 19s.
Done well.
I don't know anything about him, but he's 17 and he's from Croatia, lad. So I don't really care. He's probably the dog's bollocks, isn't he?
So here's the thing. I quite like when there's not a huge amount of information readily available to the public. It means he comes from somewhere a little bit hardcore. It's probably all he's ever known. There's not a huge load of hype or statistics or video evidence of him out there. It clearly shows that Everton got some sort of scouting department change that's happened. Regarding the rule that you mentioned, there is a homegrown rule in England. I think
I mean signing from abroad and stuff. I think the Secret Scout posted something about it, so we'll be seeing a lot more like South American and European coming to England.
It's only in very rare cases. In fact, I don't think you can even do it anymore. That's why Madrid are having to wait 2 years for Endrich, because kids under the age of 18 can't sign contracts with abroad clubs. There has to be like a different process for it, unless they've got a certain amount of points through international appearances or first team appearances. So I think it becomes a little bit difficult to sign those players, but other teams do it, so there's no reason why Everton can't do it as well. It's good. I like the fact that we're expanding our scouting network. Like I said as well, don't forget, a lot of these players come for next to nothing. Riyad Mahrez was signed from the second league in France. I think he signed for Leicester for 450,000. There's players like that. They'll come for sort of sub $1 million. You know what I mean? Which doesn't break the bank of the club. Everyone knows Everton have got profit and loss problems at the moment, so we can't go breaking the bank. Do you know what? It's good. It's good. I think it's good as long as we're not just signing space fillers for the under-18s and the under-21s, which, let's be honest, we had so many of the players we've signed over the years have become, you talk about Orujuanquo, I can't see him ever really being part of the first team. Jack Patterson,
you never know.
Might be a great
never
player.
know.
Yeah, I know you never know, but I'm going off evidence here, Rhiad.
I know you're not doubting his ability, it's just Everton's ability to develop players.
Oh God. Rhiad, I think we've done 5 or 6 videos where we've spoken about this. It's not always the player. Sometimes it's Everton. Everton have done
most of the time it's Everton, to be fair.
Yeah, most of the time. And I think Everton have done a really poor job over the last 10 years of integrating players into the first team, when really they probably should have been given more of a chance. At the same time, you have to remember that, a lot of these young players that sign from other English clubs, like I said, there's a huge tax. I'm not being funny. Didn't we just let Ellis Sims go for somewhere close to 10 million?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm sure it was 7 to 10 million quid. Don't get me wrong.
Like
he has potential, mate. But let me tell you something. If he doesn't come off the bench and score that goal against Chelsea, you're lucky to get 3 million quid for him. There's a huge tax. Yeah. There's a huge tax in England. So I think it's good that we're expanding our network, and hopefully we can bring some top talent from around Europe. Yeah.
On the topic of the academy, just to round off the video, I think Paddy Boylan did an article for The Athletic about Everton having scouts in South America and stuff, which is becoming evident now with the amount of links that we're getting from South America. The latest one, actually, I don't even think that is South America, but the latest one is Maxi Araujo for Toluca. Mexico. He's a winger. He's 24, I think. Looks decent. I don't know, but I've seen a few links over the past few months to South America, so it's nice to see Everton
Definitely.
looking other way than care homes in England.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, it's a big world out there, and there's a lot of talent in South America, Africa. I think, to be honest with you, I think Africa is the most overlooked continent, purely because there has to be some sort of hospitality for scouts to get out there. Don't forget, right?
Yeah. So, Matty, some of the best players in the world came from Africa.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? But there's not enough scouting network out there, and it could be down to whatever the living problems are out there, whatever. It might be hard to get to certain locations, but you have to remember that these kids in South America and Africa, they grow up in bare feet with a football on the street. That breeds different levels of talent and finishing ability, and if they can then get the opportunity to come and play on the best pitch in the world, in the Premier League, with everything perfect down to the last detail. If they bring that raw talent with them, to be honest with you, Rhiad, I was going to say before with this Croatian lad, if you're 17 and you've got decent football and ability, really, anyone should be able to come to a Premier League club like Everton and improve. I'm not saying they should definitely turn into a success. I'm not saying they'll definitely turn into a success and be a world beater. But what I'm saying is, if you're a 17-year-old young lad who is training and playing in less than average conditions compared to the Premier League, right? And you come and get mentored by Premier League level coaches, and you're playing with Premier League level players, and you're in Premier League level facilities, anybody who has decent football and ability should be able to improve and make something of themselves. So I think it's promising to be signing these players. But South America, 100%. I've always wished Everton could be one of these teams that signs some of these Brazilians, Argentinians, Chileans, those sorts of players, because there's a lot of talent out there. So let's hope we can transform it into that club.
Perfect, Matty. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, not really. Just that I do feel right now, I guess there is one thing. One thing I'd like to touch on is if we look at where we were a few months back, when we were fighting for our lives at the end of the season, and everyone felt like it was a torrid time to be an Everton fan. Jesus, just go back to a few weeks. The Doncaster game a couple of months ago. I was spewing after that game. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I thought, in no uncertain, I was speaking to you about this. Honestly, everyone, in no uncertain terms, did I want Dyche in the club. I thought he needed to go instantly after that game. And I was almost, might get a bit of hate for this, but I was almost sad we won that game, because we scraped through it by the skin of our teeth. And I was worried that if we won, Dyche would still be in the job. And don't get me wrong, I don't agree with every decision he makes. I thought he got some stuff wrong at the weekend. But if he can get some stuff wrong and we still get a point, it's not too bad. Right now, I think everyone should be feeling a little bit more optimistic. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on X, Twitter, saying that people are really feeling happy about going the game again for the first time in years. And that's the most important thing to me. So I think we have an optimistic season ahead. We've got good form. We're going into the quarterfinals of the Cup. Let's get a little bit positive. Sign a few players in January. You never know where you could be. So optimistic, feeling good. Yeah, that's about it from me, Rhiad.
Lovely stuff, Matty. Thank you very much, as always.
Cheers, lad.